All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are laying out the exact roadmap to becoming a licensed clinical social worker, or LCSW. If you have that drive to help people and you're wondering, how do I turn this passion into a real profession? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it. It really all boils down to this one simple question, doesn't it? That feeling you have, that deep down desire to actually make a difference in someone's life. Becoming an LCSW, that's all about taking that passion and channeling it, turning it into a real professional skill set that can literally change lives. Okay, so first things first. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty of how to become one, let's make sure we're on the same page about what an LCSW actually is. So, at its heart, an LCSW is a mental health pro who's licensed to diagnose and counsel people. But here's the really important part to get. LCSW isn't just a title you put on a business card. It's the actual official license that gives you the legal ability to do this critical clinical work. It's the key that unlocks the door. And this right here, this is what makes social work so unique. It's so much more than just what goes on inside a therapy room. An LCSW looks at things through this special lens called the person in environment perspective. So instead of just asking, what's wrong with you, they're asking, what's going on around you? We're talking about your housing situation, your job, your support system. It's this holistic approach, treating the whole person by also connecting them with real-world resources they need to succeed. All right, let's move on to the first big milestone on our map. And just like any other serious profession, it all starts with getting the right education. And I want to be super clear about this because it's a really common point of confusion. There's no such thing as an LCSW degree. The journey starts with one and only one specific degree, a Master of Social Work, or MSW. That's it. This is the absolute non-negotiable foundation for the entire process. Now, here's a super important detail you can't miss. Not just any old MSW program is going to cut it. It absolutely has to be accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. You'll see it called CSW. And trust me, this isn't just some red tape. It's the official stamp of approval that means the program is legit, and it ensures your hard-earned degree will actually count when you go to get your license. Okay, fast forward. You've got your MSW in hands, which is awesome, by the way. Congratulations. But the journey's not quite over. Now comes the really crucial part, the path from being a student to becoming a licensed professional. And you know what? It pretty much breaks down into these 4 universal steps. It doesn't really matter what state you're in, this is the core roadmap. You get that accredited MSW, you put in your supervised clinical hours, you pass the big exam, and then you apply for that state license. That's the formula. Let's zero in on those supervised hours for a sec, because this is a huge commitment. We're talking, in most states, somewhere around 3,000 hours of work. And that usually takes at least 2 years to finish after you've already graduated with your master's. Think of it as your professional apprenticeship. It's where you really learn the ropes under the guidance of a mentor. So once all those hours are logged, it's time for the big exam, the ASW clinical exam. And if you look at how it's broken down, you'll see it's not about obscure theories. It's all about the practical, day-to-day stuff. I mean, look at that. Assessment, diagnosis, interventions. That's the bulk of it. It's basically a test to make sure you're ready for the real world. And here's some amazing advice from Amanda Garcia, who's an LCSW herself. She says, 1, lean on your people. Get a study partner or work with your supervisor. And 2, and this is a golden tip, when you're taking the test, you have to think like a therapist. It's not just about what you've memorized. It's about putting yourself in that chair and using your best clinical judgment. So, you did it. You jumped through all the hoops, you passed the exam, you got the license, you are officially an LCSW. So what's next? What does life actually look like out in the field? One of the best things about being an LCSW has to be the flexibility. Look at all these different places you can work. We're talking private practice, hospitals, schools, nonprofits, even in correctional facilities. That one license gives you a key to so many different doors, letting you work with almost any group of people, anywhere you want. And hey, let's talk job security. The demand for social workers is really strong. I mean, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is saying the field is set to grow by 7% in the next decade. To put that in perspective, that's more than twice the average for all other jobs. So yeah, the need for good clinical social workers is definitely there, and it's growing. And I just have to share this quote from Amanda Garcia again because it's so powerful. It really gets to the heart of the why. Being an LCSW can be so much more than just a job. It's a chance to be the person you wish you had, to provide care and representation for communities that are underserved. It's about making an impact that is, yeah, professional, but also deeply, deeply personal. Okay, for our last section, let's clear up some common confusion. You hear a lot of different titles out there in the mental health world. So, how exactly is an LCSW different from other types of counselors? Okay, so let's start with LCSW versus an LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor. What's the deal here? Well, it really all comes down to their fundamental training and approach. Think of it like this. They both provide therapy, absolutely. But the LCSW is trained to zoom out and see that bigger picture we talked about, that person and environment view. They're looking at the societal and environmental stuff, not just what's going on inside someone's head. Now, the difference between an LCSW and a psychologist, that's even more clear-cut. It really boils down to two big things: education and testing. First, psychologists have a doctorate, a PhD or PsyD, while an LCSW has a master's. And second, a huge part of a psychologist's job can be formal psychological testing and assessment. That's something an LCSW doesn't do. So while they both can provide therapy, their toolkits and training are just different. So there you have it. That's the roadmap. The path is pretty clear. The career has a huge impact, and we know for a fact that the world needs more people doing this work. So we're back to where we started. The only question left is for you. Is this your path? Is this how you're meant to make your difference?